obviously last week was a challenge. I think kind of like I say, a tale of two halves. The first half, I don't think we, came out and played the way we expected. We wanted to really start early. I thought that was to our advantage. Them coming in, a little bit wounded, had lost the 2 games and not played as well previously. But you knew kind of, I could tell the energy they had before the game, really chippy, and started to, back and forth. Things I didn't want to have happen. I wanted us to be able to save our energy for us to take the shots at kickoff at 7 o'clock, when in reality things started a little too quick, and I think it caught up to us. We had some guys that, even the adrenaline spikes and then dropped right there before kickoff, and had some issues, which put us a little bit, I think, flat. I don't know about flat, but just not the energy that we needed to start the game. And then really kind of honed in. Halftime, did a great job. Coach did a great job making some little adjustments here and there. Came out the second half, ran the heck out of the football, played much better defense. Gave up one probably big play, but third downs we really were strong throughout the entire second half, and closed out the game with an 8-minute, 40-second drive, or 8 minutes and 51 seconds. Close out the game, both running the football, throwing the football, good smart plays by the quarterback. I think it ended up being really a good night. And for us as a program, even on Monday when we came, or on Sunday when we came in here, it was about the South Florida game, and it was about making sure that every week we talked about celebrating, enjoying the victories, taking a look at what it is that we've done, but not too fast to move on. Just because of the fact that you've worked your butt off to have some excitement and about what you did the night before, we need to make sure we didn't move on ourselves too quick. And that's what Monday was for, and that's what today is for us to kind of change gears. And we all know it's the excitement and everything behind this week in particular. And I think our guys are excited about it. They understand it. Now we just got to do the preparation we need to do to get ourselves to Saturday, and not being too emotional and too overboard here as we prepare.
You go from January of 2018, I think you had the guys out in the snow and the cruddy weather and all that, and then you go coordinate, and now you're on game day, national prime time. I mean, that's such a huge jump, really.
It is, and it starts with leadership. And I mean that across the board. Yes, our seniors have been incredible leaders, but I'm talking about the coaches as well. Their ability to build the relationships with these guys and get them to believe in the things that we're doing, and then to see that and see us kind of brick by brick continue to build things and gain momentum. People always ask you, well, when did you realize you guys were a good team? I don't know that there's any one in particular game or situation or anything that just says, hey, man, I think we got a chance to be a pretty good football team. But in Pasadena, California, when the kind of momentum that we learned and found a way to put ourselves in a position and close it out, I think from then on it's just been an incredible building process. And even the game at Temple, where we obviously didn't finish out the way we needed to, I think was a big step in a learning process for us, and helped us grow.
Does playing a primetime game change the way you prepare mentally, emotionally?
I think you can't not talk about it. You don't want to say there's an elephant in a room and nobody talks about it. We addressed it. We hadn't talked much about it until we will today. But you kind of got to get those things out of the way and say, hey, now when you go on the road in big games, you got to remember what it comes down to. We'll address that. We'll kind of talk about that as a team this afternoon before we get going. And I was reminded of it last night as I got a text from my old coach Tress, about big games on the road and the things you got to be able to do. So there's kind of those things that you just got to shift yourself back into and make sure these games are won on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the preparation. They aren't won just on Saturday with the energy and the hype and going out there and making plays.
Coach, can you share what Coach Tressel thinks are the most important parts of winning a big game on the road?
It hasn't changed. It's relentless defense, opportunistic offense, and superior special teams. Things that he would always have said is, hey, don't change what it is that you do. Just a reminder, I think that those are the things that excite you. To say, obviously, people notice. People know that what's going on. College football understands it. Our kids understand it. That's why we don't want to shy away from it. But they got to make sure that they remember, what it's all about. It's not about just Saturday night. It's about the preparation of what you do throughout the entire week, and controlling and having your emotions under control. I don't think we did a great job of last week, and I mean that in a long day, a 7 o'clock kick. You kind of go out for warm-ups and you have some of the jawing back and forth, and you just got this emotional roller coaster that you come in right before the game, and all of a sudden your adrenaline just dropped, and we had some of those situations, and I look at myself and say we didn't handle that thing the way we were supposed to handle it. So as a mature team, hopefully we can take that next step and realize that there's whether there's going to be something that happens before the game. I know there's a lot of other things that are on this, and our ability to focus in and still do the things we need to do throughout the entire week.
When you got this job, you talked about the talent on the defensive line. We're seeing that come to full light this year. What has Coach Stripling meant to that room and getting those guys to produce?
Well, I think obviously we didn't want to lose Coach Washington last year, and I think that as I'm learning, it's in what I'm doing, and a new coach, I think the ability, if you do lose coaches, it's an opportunity for you to get better. And I don't mean that just because Coach Stripling comes in, he's a better football coach, but you can get better understanding what it is that your team, your program, and especially your units need. And I think that to have that opportunity to bring Coach Strip in here with what the Cortezes and the Marquises and the Kamani Fitzes, the seniors, the Kevin Luhans, those kind of guys, what could really make us better with somebody that could come in and command the room, have the experiences that he has, and have an opportunity for those guys to have instant credibility and understand that he's going to make them better. And so I think that he's done that. He's done everything we've expected and asked, and build a relationship with those guys, and their play is showing.
Now do you go to him and say, hey, UCF is one of the top teams in the country in fewest sacks, fewest tackles for loss. Time for these guys to get it done.
and again, we can't be, some of our best games don't always have the most sacks. And I think that's one of those things that you can't get frustrated with this week especially. A batted down ball is almost as good as a sack. And Mackenzie Milton doesn't take a whole lot of sacks. He's only given up 9 on the year, and 3 or 4 of them might have been in the Memphis game. So they do a great job, and you can't get frustrated because the ball's coming out in 1.6 seconds or 2.2 seconds. It's still about pressure. It's still about the things you need to do up front to make it tougher on him to get his job done.
They've obviously had a pretty wild turnaround the past few years down there. When you come in and take this job, are you looking at other schools, especially being in your conference, as something for that, or is it all?
I mean, you're always studying college football in general, and just guys who are great at what they do. And I don't know that there's any one thing. I know that the thing we did look at, or I did look at, and I made an emphasis to our players at the start of the season is they had 4 or 5 guys drafted last year. And the emphasis I made on that was maybe they had one guy that was a preseason guy that could be drafted. When in reality, they ended up with 3 or 4 other guys that were drafted. Well, why? Because they played really good football, and they played better, and they played in that idea of above their ability. Because preseason, it's about, well, this guy's got the ability to be a draft pick, and then at the end of the season, it's about what you really did. The guys that get drafted are the guys that actually performed and played well, and so their ability for those guys to play really well, which in turn, obviously, guess what? They went undefeated and won a national championship because those guys played really well. And I think that was an example to us to say, hey, I'm not saying we want to beat them, and I'm not saying we're mimicking them, but in order to be a good team, you got to have, at the end of the year, you got guys that have a chance to be drafted because they played really well. Not just because they have ability. The preseason stuff doesn't really matter. It's at the end of the year, how are they really playing? And that's why I'm excited about where we are. And like you said, we talk about the senior defensive linemen and the way those guys have played.
As a coach, would you prefer to have the week not have the hype, college game day, everything, or do you want this kind of hype for your program?
No, I mean, it's a catch-22. You love it. I mean, the campus, you love it for our fans, you love it for our alumni, you love it for our kids. Everybody loves to, have their program and the things that they've done. These guys deserve that. But if you ask me, I'm a little different. I live under a rock, and and stay in the confines of a bunker in here where it's, you know, pretty sterile. I mean, you're going to do the consistent things over and over and over again, and your path isn't going to deviate a whole lot. But that's not the reality behind it. You know, so that's why we said you got to be able to address it, you got to be able to celebrate it, you know, and then you got to be able to handle it. And I think that you know, that's the test for us. That's the test, and you know, there'll be today is going out there and making sure that, you know, all the talk and the things that you guys have seen or heard, or Twitter, or your families and the excitement they've got. Okay, you know, 1:30 comes. You know, check that stuff and leave it in your locker, and let's go back to doing the things we've done to put us in this situation.
Not just for you guys, but can you talk about the meeting for the conference as a whole, getting featured college game day, primetime television?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, that's what we wanted, and I think this conference has deserved it. It just hasn't happened, and sometimes that's not you know, college football's fault, or their you know, sometimes the matchup just hasn't happened. I mean, we all understand that, you know, their 22-game win streak and what they did last year. You know, there's a big reason why this college game. Now, again, if we hadn't done what we've done, and had we not taken care of business last week, you know, it wouldn't be like this. So, with that being said, I think it's a great thing for our conference. I think it's great for college football in general, but I think it's also great for our two programs, and we just got to make sure we can handle it the right way.
How are they different under Fickell this year compared to last season?
They're actually faster. I think they, you know, even with Scott Frost and some of the things they were doing, they shifted in motion a little bit more, and you know, they don't do a whole lot. But I think that they really are different in the pace at which they go. And everybody said, "Well, what do you mean? They did pace last year." I know, but it's just different. And, you know, so I couldn't pinpoint exactly what it is. Well, these guys run more, you know, cue counters than they ran. I just think that they're a little bit faster in what they do. I think they even put more on the shoulders of the quarterback to make decisions in a really short amount of time. Meaning, you know, 16 seconds the ball's being snapped from the last time the ball's snapped, and that quarterback has 3 reads. You know, I think it takes a really special guy to be able to handle and do all that, to be as, you know, as efficient as he has.
You mentioned after the game Saturday, it's been kind of a redemption tour for you guys this year. How much do you think that factors into players, say, focus or just motivation when they're playing a team that had their way with them the previous year?
I hope they don't forget. But you also, you know, you can't let that, you know, put anything else in your, you know, in your belly. I mean, there's plenty of to ride on this. But I mean, it's understanding. We studied those things in the off season, and you know, we've learned a lot from it. Hopefully, you know, it's kind of like, not saying Navy, but the greatest thing that happened to us in Navy is we played them and understood the tempo and the pace at which they played at. You know, not that they're an up-tempo team, but when that ball snapped, the triple option happens a heck of a lot faster than you can simulate. You know, and I think going through what we went through last year really helped us there. Hopefully, you know, going through what we went through last year with these guys, it's a different coach and it's a little bit faster, but the pace of which they will play at is something that, you know, hopefully we've got a better feel for. Now we just got to be able to react and respond a lot better.
Did you get a tip from Herb Street that this may be happening? When did you know that you were going to be a game day?
No, I didn't know exactly. I mean, it's, you know, he let me know on Sunday, but just basically said, hey, I'm going to see you this week. So I don't know if it was, I don't want to steal the thunder from Kaz. You know, he's the first to know everything. So, you know, I get all my info from Kaz, and I don't want to jump the shark or anything on him.
With Milton, he's really accurate down the field. What kind of challenge does that present? It seems like he can drop a ball in a really tight window.
I mean, it's, you know, like I said, the ability for him to throw the ball in the run, the ability to throw the ball the way he throws it, in the time that he throws it is what's so unique. You know, I don't really know what his complete arm strength is. Obviously, it's very good, but you don't see him just set up and throw a 15-yard comeback to the field where, you know, maybe an NFL guy would be like, oh, that's what we're looking for. But you know, the ball is out, the ball is on time, the ball is on the point. You know, if it has to be there really fast, it's there pretty fast. If it has to have some air under it, it's got some air under it. His ability to make all the throws that they do and make them very accurately is, I'd say, amazing, but I think it's very unique in the timing at which he does it.
You talked about them your guys coming out a little bit slow last week. Yeah, I would imagine it's critical that they can't let that happen against this kind of team because they're gonna come at you real fast.
They're going to be really fast, and that's why we got to be able to manage emotions and manage the stage. And our ability to do that will depend on leadership from here, from me, and from our guys. So, you know, it's going to be a fast-paced football game, and we got to be well rested, and we got to make sure that mentally we're ready for that. You know, and there's going to be adverse situations. I think, like I said, I guess the thing we can take from last week is having. Having some adversity, especially defensively in that first couple series with some big plays, our ability to come back and play the way we did in the second half and even late in the first half is where you see the growth of a lot of things from last year to this year.
When guys like you do well, you get mentioned on any number of websites. Is that flattering? I mean, it can be distracting.
I mean, if it's not on XM radio, the 80s that I listen to, or the country station that I listen to. I don't even listen to the regular radio just because I don't want to say this out loud too often because Twitter is how recruiting is done, but I don't do a whole lot of Twitter during the season other than just looking at recruits. So if there's something out there I wouldn't even know about it. If it's not the list of things that my wife gives me that the kids got this week and the schedule for them that I won't be able to attend. I don't know a whole lot of what's going on, unless somebody says something to me. So I think that's the way I've always kind of lived, and it helps me focus on what I'm doing. But kind of like this, it's kind of like the hype of this game. Coach, are you guys excited? I try to stay like this, but I don't want my 18 to 22-year-olds to not have me address the elephant in the room. Like, guys, it's a big stage. I understand that. Let's make sure we talk about it now. Here's what it's all about. Now put it behind us. It doesn't matter. That's what we got to do the things that we've done. So that helps me stay focused. I don't have to worry about the other things.
We're talking 80s pop hits, hair metal. What's the?
I don't. It's XM, whatever. I think 6. There's 6, 7, 8. You go from 80s to 90s, and then the kids have a couple in there like 12. I think is more of the pop hits, and then 55 right there is the country station. Into there's not something good on in the morning, or a little grunge on I think that's 12.
When you
Madison in the morning on the grunge.
When you agreed to take this job, you knew you had work to be done.
I don't know if I really knew how much work was there.
But week 11 of year 2, you're on game day. Like, that has to be remarkable when you sit back and think about it.
When do you sit back and think about it? I think that's, it's great for the families, and I think for the kids, and the process is what it is. And I don't enjoy it as much because I don't get to sit back and think about it. But I don't want to neglect it too. I tell you, we celebrate the positives. I celebrate it with the players. We celebrate it as a team. Those kinds of things. You kind of look at your team and say, guys, this isn't as big a surprise to me as it might be to a lot of the people. I'm not saying that I would have said, hey, this team's got a potential to win 9, 10 games and really play for a championship. January, February, March, April of this past year. I would have said that in September, October, really. But I don't think that as a group in this room that we didn't believe that we had a chance and potential if we continue to grow, to put us in a position to have a chance to play for a championship. We didn't talk about it a lot publicly, but I think that's where we kind of build our strength around keeping the things in these walls, of what we personally think, and not worried about proving anything to anybody outside. So that's where the excitement lies. Looking at these guys and knowing, their ability to go play on a stage like this and in a game like this that means as much as it does. Yeah, it makes you nervous because it's a big stage, but this is what you wish for And so if you wish for it, you got to celebrate it when you have it. So there's a little bit of a balance there to be able to do both.
We're good? Thank you.